So welcome. The purpose of this webinar is twofold. We often have webinars like this just to make the ICF, International Coaching Federation, seem a little bit more clear and to make more sense. That's even more relevant today because the ICF has undergone a lot of changes. And so the purpose today is to share with you what those changes are. The good news and the bottom line is that most of those changes have more to do with us and what we've had to do in order to get accredited with them than what you'll experience. For most of you, you'll just experience a language change more than anything else. So I'm excited to share that with you. Let's jump in. What we're going to cover today. First, let's start with an overview of executive coaching, and I'm happy to answer your questions anytime about this, but I want to give you an overview of the market. You can type any questions in the chat. Those of you listening to the recording, reach out anytime with questions. I just want to give a couple of criteria that I think are important for those of you who are thinking of jumping into executive coaching. To me, it's a privilege to be an executive coach, and I think we want the best to become executive coaches. It's something to be earned to be a coach, and so I want to talk about that. And then let's talk about two third-party coaching associations or organizations, the International Coaching Federation, and then the organization that does something called the Board Certified Coach, which is the Center for Credentialing and Education. And then from there, I want to talk to you a little bit about how I think the Center for Executive Coaching can help you get a competitive edge if you're going to jump into this market, whether you want to be an internal or an external coach. That'll be the agenda. It should not take much more than an hour. Okay. First of all, just some introductions. The way I like to introduce the Center for Executive Coaching is through our results. I hope should you get into executive coaching, you'll introduce yourself through the results that your clients get. You can read some recent testimonials here. Most impressively, it's not on this sheet, but we're currently training leadership advisors to become coaches at two of the world's largest executive search and leadership advisory firms. In one case, we just finished a cohort, and 100% of the participants, there were about 20 participants, 100% said they'd recommend the Center for Executive Coaching to other colleagues. The second group, we just finished two cohorts, one for Asia Pacific and one for more North American and European type time zones. And we did two cohorts there, and then they just renewed. They're putting another 24 of their top leadership advisors through that program for us to train them to get their ICF designations. And they chose us largely because of our focus, which is on already successful professionals who understand the importance of bringing value and results to the clients without fluff, without academic theory, but really helping clients get results so we can justify our fees with a great return on investment. Okay. I think I'll share a little bit about me soon, so you know who I am, but this is the Center for Executive Coaching. Okay. We've been accredited with the International Coaching Federation since 2012. So 10 years now, and we're delighted that we just got accredited in that first batch that they approved as level 2 organizations, which is the old ACTP. And I'll share more about that soon. So the executive and leadership coaching market continues to grow. It's always a great time to get in and has been. This has been the case before COVID. During COVID, a lot of companies started coaching employees, especially as things got more remote, and especially in companies that thrived during the COVID time, but also companies that faced a lot of overwhelm, especially in healthcare. Now, after COVID, we're seeing continued growth, even with signs of difficulties in the economy. All that I've seen happen is that the focus of coaching tends to shift. And now that companies might not be hiring people and might be letting people go, a lot of the coaching shifts towards how to be more productive, how to do more with less, how to cope, and how to develop existing leaders, because that's who they have to deal with. The other thing that's pretty topical right now is retaining people, right? You all know about the Great Resignation. That's turning out to be the great regret for a lot of people. Still lots of coaching opportunities there. Okay, so at this point in the evolution of coaching, it's a proven approach to professional development. There are plenty of studies that show anywhere from $4 to $8 return per dollar invested in coaching. The International Coaching Federation keeps a lot of those surveys. You can find reference to those there. And Coaching is a great enhancement to training. I read one study where when they added coaching to a training program, the results were increased 400%, fourfold when combined with training. And we all know that if you take a training, if there isn't follow-up, I've seen one study that shows that about 85% is lost within 2 weeks, right? So coaching can really help there. Way more right now than half of the Fortune 500 companies. I'd say almost all of them rely on coaching as a standard professional development tool. And what I've seen in the last few years is that coaching has spread to industries I never thought would embrace coaching. Like, let's say those real like macho type industries, lumber, oil and gas, agriculture, in addition to the usual places where coaching has always taken off. Okay, so it's a great time to get in. It continues to grow. It continues to shift. It continues to be fascinating. When we talk about executive coaching, I want to be clear that we're talking about coaching leaders at all levels, right? I'm not just talking about coaching the CEO at Ford Motor Company or Goldman Sachs. I don't do that in my own practice, right? I really like the mid-cap company. I like working with the C-suite or the CEOs, founders, owners at those levels. But you can coach leaders at all levels. If you want to be a coach, we're going to help you figure out who you should coach. Right? It could be C-suite, senior leaders, middle managers, up and coming talent, high potentials, first-time managers, people going through career transitions, entrepreneurs and business owners, even solopreneurs. And we're also talking about all types of organizations, large, mid-sized and small, even individual in the for-profit space, nonprofits of all sizes. I started my coaching career in local nonprofits and eventually moved up to some very nice national nonprofits, federal, state, and local government. In fact, I'm seeing tons of coaching requests right now in government and education. In fact, we've been hired to train leadership coaches for a major school district in the Northeast. Educational institutions, that includes universities and solo professionals. So again, don't limit your thinking when we talk about executive coaching. And there's tons of situations where you can coach. My current most recent client is somebody who is he invests in startups in a particular industry. I won't say just to maintain confidentiality, but his issue is very similar to many people that receive coaching. He's brilliant. And in fact, he's so brilliant that he has trouble working with others. And so he's engaged me to help him be more collaborative, to have the same impact, get the same results, but do it in a way where he builds and nurtures relationships and doesn't leave, let's say, as many bodies in his wake. My last two clients before that were people moving into new roles. Somebody in an industrial company who was taking over the family business. He was about 32 years old, super well-educated, MBA, private equity work, but was taking over the family business. And the family said, let's get you a coach to make sure you make a smooth transition, as well as a recent promotion from chief operating officer to CEO/president, somebody who had to become a lot more visionary and make the transition to that more strategic role. But there's tons of situations: general professional development, communicating with more impact, behavioral blind spots, shifting perceptions to be more effective, resolving conflict, engaging teams and employees, navigating change, strategy, success in a new role, creating a high-performing culture, developing a pipeline of leaders, overcoming overwhelm, which is huge right now. So I guess the point I want to make is, if you're interested in coaching, there is most likely a space for you. Whether it's the type of organization, the size, who you're coaching, what you're coaching them on. And with our program, we're going to help you be prepared for anything that comes your way. There's also tons of niches here, right? And to Sharon's question in the chat, is it a good idea to focus a situation? Yeah, I really believe what you want to do is be memorable. You want to dominate a niche. You want to be the first person people think of when they say, I need some help with this. Some of the top niches I'm seeing today are anything technology, scientific, and clinical. There's just tons of people there who have amazing education, but it's a very narrow type of expertise. They have great ideas, but they don't always know how to get buy-in for their ideas. They don't know how to build teams to make their ideas happen, and you can help. Professional service firms, knowledge workers in general, but like consulting firms, law firms. Again, it's kind of ironic, right? You have these management consulting firms that tell you how, they go out there telling people best practices in management, but often their own companies are big dysfunctional families, and you can help. Right? Owners of growing businesses, family businesses. Financial services is picking up because of fintech. Nonprofits and education always have needs. I'm working with a nonprofit now, and their board, quite frankly, is extremely dysfunctional. They're always fighting, always arguing. They don't know how to get along. In fact, the president is overwhelmed, doesn't know how to engage the board. She's quite intimidated. And so there's a lot of coaching opportunities there that we're working on together. Military leaders, returning military, teams, high potentials, change. Really, the list goes on and on. When you join our program, you're going to get a whole set of tools and coaching solutions to be able to handle these and work in just about any situation. So will you be a good coach or not? And specifically, I mean a good leadership and an executive coach. There's 3 criteria that I look for, and they're here. So number one, if you want to be a coach, you probably should have, I wouldn't even say probably, you definitely should have a passion for developing other people to be their best. The people who come to us and say, I want to join the Center for Executive Coaching, have a story that goes something like, people naturally come to me for guidance or for coaching or for mentoring, or they say, in my career, as it's evolved, I've just found developing other people, whether through mentoring, coaching, training, managing, leading them, has been the most rewarding thing. I just love doing it. That's what they'll say. Others will say, I really, what does it mean to perform at one's peak? They're fascinated by peak performance and flow. I really believe you have to have that passion, right? When should we talk at the end of this webinar, and I invite you to reach out anytime for a strategy session. If you come to me and you say, Andrew, how much can I make as a coach? You can make a lot, but what I really want to see is the passion. If you're going to jump into this, you have to do it because you realize it's good in and of itself, almost a calling. It's just something could sustain you for the rest of your career, whether you're using it as a skill, as a leader, it's a practice you want to start, you're internal, you're retiring and want to do something part-time, you want to build a big firm, you have to have that passion. Number 2, you should have what I would call verbal agility, especially excellent listening skills. Coaching is a lot about listening. If you watch one of my coaching sessions with a client, I will be sweating. Like I'll leave my home office. I work from home, and my wife will say, she'll remind me that I'm sweating. She can see the sweat on the back of my shirt. And yet, if you videotape me, you wouldn't see me doing much, right? I'm listening, and I'm listening for opportunities to move my client forward. So it's not so much about talking. The keys to the kingdom in coaching are listening, but also having that verbal agility to collaborate and have a dialogue with the client. So if you enjoy that, if you feel like that's a natural talent you have, you're likely to be a very, very good coach. Right? The bad coaches are the ones who step in, don't listen, butt in, give their advice and say, here's what I'd do if I were in your shoes, even though your shoes are completely different color, texture, and style than the client's shoes. Okay. Mary L asks, is there hope to improve? Yes. You work with us for a few sessions and we will help you actively listen effectively. So yeah, this is a skill. I mean, any skill can be taught. You just have to be willing. We have to look at how to get you to really hear. And there's different types of listening. We're going to teach you different ways, what you're listening for, such as, are they coachable? How committed are they? What are their skills? What are their talents? And then the third thing that I think is super important, and it's actually a weakness of the Center for Executive Coaching in that we're never going to be the biggest. Our market share based on number of ICF designations our members have gotten is 1%. And I like that. I like being at that 1% because we think, I think that coaching is a privilege. Executive coaching especially is a privilege that you earn. all of you, if you're going to join our program, and I think get into coaching just for the good of the industry, you should be credible one way or another. There's lots of ways to be credible, right? Like we've had very successful coaches who don't even have a college degree. They barely graduated high school, but they've started businesses. They've had interesting life experiences. What you should have is a track record of leadership and achievement or expertise in a relevant field. You know, we get psychologists, attorneys, physicians. In fact, physicians coaching physicians is a huge area right now. Returned military who are in leadership roles. I just really believe that you need something that makes you credible in addition to the coach training we're going to provide. Diane asked in the chat, what percentage of our students successfully complete the ICF exam? I believe it's 100%. I don't think the ICF exam is particularly challenging, especially for the members who join us. No one's told me they have failed. The BCC, we've had a couple of people fail. I'll talk about that one shortly. Okay. All right. Any questions about how to know whether you would make a good coach? So like, here's me. I'll just tell you my story. By the way, I'm sorry, my name's Andrew Knightlick. I'm the founder and director of the Center for Executive Coaching. I was a management consultant for a long time at a firm started by a couple of McKinsey partners. They grew it to like 350 consultants, $80 million in revenue, I think, before it was sold. And I started noticing something. Aside from the fact that I was burning out, like I didn't like getting on an airplane at 5 in the morning on Mondays and coming back late on Thursday or Friday, especially. I found the woman I loved and we got married. We're now 25 years this coming up this September. But I was sort of done that way. But then clients started saying something interesting. Like we present this huge PowerPoint benchmarking their organization against others. And the client would say, yeah, I knew that. And like after a while, I'm saying, I would ask the client, I say, you just spent like $150,000 back then. Now it's $250,000 for this kind of work on a diagnostic. And you're telling me you knew the answer. Why'd you hire me? Why'd you hire us? And one after another, the client would say, look, I know the answers. The issue I have is how to make it happen. I got tons of people gunning for my job. I don't have anyone I feel like I can talk to in a safe space. And so what I really need is someone to talk to, a sounding board. They didn't use the word coach, but that's what I started doing. I just at that point said, you know what, this would be awesome. I get to talk to clients, really cool leaders about their most interesting problems. I don't have to manage a team of analysts. I don't have to do PowerPoint decks. And I'm going to help them with exactly what they need help on. And I ended up doing that. It took me a while to figure it out. And we teach all the mistakes that I made in the program so that you avoid them and learn to sell and learn to market yourself and be successful. But, you know, I'd say within a year, I was making as much as I was as a management consultant and never looked back. And so now I work from my own home office here. You know, this morning I played an hour and a half of tennis. I got 2 client calls coming up this afternoon. Going to take my daughter to her basketball practice tonight. You know, it's just a great life. I couldn't be more blessed. It's a wonderful profession. Okay. So if you're right for it, I'm happy to talk to you. I see a question about transferring from being a psychologist or a counselor. A lot of people in the counseling fields are doing that now. They're tired of the reimbursement environment. They want to work with already successful people, maybe more of a positive psychology model. We're going to help you do that. We know the distinctions between therapy and coaching, not to mention coaching and consulting. And there's ways to do it. So we can help you make that transition. Okay. All right, so let's get to it. Any questions before we do jump in? Put them in the chat. After we stop recording, I'm happy to take your questions if you want to raise your hand, and we can do it by audio. So a couple of you saying selling and marketing is one of my weaknesses. We have a whole approach to selling without selling, right? Once you know how to coach, you can sell anybody anything. What we do and what we teach you is how to coach the client through the buying process, not so much to convert a no to a yes. I don't know how to do that, but to find out if they're serious and if they have a big enough problem to hire you, if they have the budget to hire you, and if they want to work with you. And we have many demonstrations on that. So you're going to learn you don't even have to sell. We're just going to have a conversation with the client. When I first started, there were 3 things I had to learn how to do. 1 was be a good coach. 2 was market myself so people came my way. It took me 6 months to figure out how to do that. And we teach you exactly how to do it now in a way that will work for you and your style. And then how to sell, how to take someone who came to me and, get them to pay. And that is what I learned, is just to have natural conversations and coach them. And we show you how to do that so you don't waste your time. All right, let's jump in. What is the International Coaching Federation? I hope you've heard of it. Essentially, they are the largest association for coaches in the world. They were founded, I don't know how many years ago, maybe 25 years ago, 30 years ago at this point, by a bunch of life coaching schools, which was an initial problem for those of us who want to be executive coaches, and in some ways still is. But over the years, those life coaching schools moved out of the way. They're now managed by an association management firm. And they've become their tagline is the gold standard for coaching. And every year, more and more coaches go to them to get a designation. We're essentially accredited with them so that when you take our training, we give you a certificate so you can go to them and get one of their designations. You'll also get our certified executive coach certification. What I'm grateful to the ICF for is that they've done a great job advocating for the coaching profession. They have a wonderful set of core competencies that they've just updated this year and rolled out. I didn't like their previous one, but I mostly like this one now. It's broad enough that they really serve coaches, right? So if you ask the ICF experts, what they'll tell you is their core competencies are there to serve coaches. Coaches are not there to serve the ICF core competencies, and I think that's true. So what the ICF does is provide recognizable designations for coaches. These are well known. The 2 that most people get are the ACC and the PCC. The ACC is Associate Certified Coach, and then the P stands for Professional Certified Coach. With the ACC, you only need 60 hours of training plus 10 hours of mentor coaching, but I'm going to suggest you do it through what we are, which is a level 2, so that you don't have to submit recordings of your coaching to the ICF for review. They are so backed up right now, and actually always have been, but with the changes they have now, it could take months for them to get back to you with that. It's actually shorter just to take a few more training hours and go through us with our certificate so you don't have to submit recordings to them. The difference between the ACC and PCC in that case really is the number of hours of coaching experience you have. So for the ICF, you need 100 hours of coaching experience. You cannot start counting, unfortunately, until you join a program like ours. I don't agree with that, but about 5 years ago, they put that in place. Of the 100 hours, you need 8 clients, and 70% needs to be paid or barter. Barter means you can barter with another coach. If I coach you and you coach me, we can take the time we spend coaching for that. So you don't have to have clients, and we'll even match you up. We have a whole area of our member area, or I'll match you up personally if necessary. It never has been, so that you get the hours you need. The PCC, you need 500 hours of coaching experience. So what a lot of people do is start with the ACC and then just upgrade when they have the additional hours. The MCC is a master certified coach. This is generally for mentor coaches. And there it's just a lot. To me, it's overkill. The market doesn't care. Over 50,000 coaches worldwide have received an ICF designation. I'll bet it's up to 55,000 right now. So what that means is you better know how to set yourself apart. I'm not worried about that number because so many of the coaches are life coaches or really bad coaches who haven't earned the right to be coaches, right? They're going to struggle. The people who join us are not going to struggle. They're already effective, successful people. And we're going to show you how to set yourself apart so you're not just a generic commodity, okay? Let's see, Paula asked about just a technical question about the PCC hours. Yeah, so you need 500 total hours. You can count the 100 that you would have gotten from the ACC. So it's just incrementally 400 more, okay? Now, there's also another organization that's interesting if you have a master's degree or higher. Okay, now you don't need that necessarily. They have paths if you don't, but what's cool about this, they're called the Center for Credentialing and Education, and they offer something called the Board Certified Coach. Now, that doesn't mean you're certified to coach boards, although you can. It's more like the way that a physician has a board certification. This organization is not an advocacy group for coaches. They do board certifications for psychologists, social workers, coaches, etc. And here they respect you and give you some benefits for having higher education. The master's degree should be in psychology, a social science, an MBA, a JD, an MD, anything related to organizational development. And you just need 60 hours of training. In fact, you only need 30 hours of training if your master's is in psychology, and you need 30 hours of coaching experience. We help you with this. We provide verification when you apply, and then you sit for their exam. That is included in our program other than the fee to apply. Okay, any of our certification programs, you can get this if you have a master's degree or higher. Okay, and just back to the question here, with the ICF, what we give you is a certificate. You still have to apply to the ICF. You pay them a fee of a few $100s and you sit for their knowledge assessment. Okay, if you have any questions about whether your degree applies or not for this organization, you should reach out to them. Okay, so you really have two options in addition to our own certified executive coach. The BCC counts coaching hours a little bit differently. You can have prior experience. They count from the time you got your master's degree or highest level of education. So it's not from the time you joined a program like ours. However, they don't like peer coaching. It has to be real coaching experience, what they would call real, with clients. Okay. So here's the $1 million question. Do you need an ICF designation or do you not? And so let me take you through that. First of all, don't worry about it. With our program, you can wait. We have a modular approach. So we have a core program that gives you everything we have, everything except the required ICF mentor coaching. That costs $2,500 more. If you know you want the ICF, you can include it when you join. If you're not sure, you can add it later. There's really no penalty other than time. So you can always decide later. The statistics for us are 100% of people join us because we're ICF accredited. However, 60% go for the ICF. The other 40% realize they don't want it or don't need it. You'll see why in a minute. So in general, what you see on the screen are the types of coaches who will want the ICF, right? If you're going to be a pure coach and go through human resources at typically large organizations, you're going to need it. Okay, that's not how I market. We teach you a number of ways to reach clients, but if that is your model, you're going to want an ICF designation, ACC or PCC. In the USA, the PCC is certainly preferred. If you're going to be coaching in what we'll call a credential-focused industry, hospitals, other healthcare, higher education, especially universities, the federal government, you're going to need an ICF designation. If you happen to be calling in from a country where your culture is more formal than what we have in the United States, and here I'd put Europe, Canada, Asia, heck, just about everywhere, an ICF designation will make a big difference to you. And then we get coaches who say, I know I don't need it, but I just feel better having it. And so if that describes you, that's absolutely great. The ICF has done some research that shows that coaches with ICF designations tend to earn more, but I would argue that's a sample bias, right? Because coaches who go for the ICF designation also tend to be more serious. So here's where you don't need one. The biggest market where I like to work is with those growing mid-sized organizations. If you're going to reach the decision makers, right? That's my model as a coach. I like to reach out to the actual decision makers, not human resources, although I make HR my friend. And in those cases, I could typically tap into the consulting budget. I can position myself as a solution provider. And regardless, at smaller, mid-sized organizations, a lot of them don't really know what the ICF is or care. And other organizations are from more informal industries like technology, growth companies, things like that. They're looking for people who are credible based on their experience. Okay. If in doubt, let the market tell you. Okay. So you don't have to make this decision now. It's the same thing like, I don't want to go and get coach training unless I'm sure I'll make X dollars. My advice is you're never going to be sure. Therefore, the reason to jump into this in general is just because you have a passion for this and you know it will provide never-ending value to know how to coach others. Okay. A couple of quick questions here. Does it make sense to have both the BCC and the ICF? Absolutely. I love the name board certified coach. Like if the ICF had come up with that and only had one designation, it would be game over. I mean, this ACC, PCC, MCC, it's very convoluted. There's also like 3 different pathways to apply for each of those. They've overcomplicated it and it's too bad. But most, like when you see job descriptions or requests for coaching, what you'll see a lot is ICF, must have ICF designation or equivalent. So the BCC can count as an equivalent. And if you have an ACC already, please reach out to me. We can give you a 10% scholarship for the training you need to get the extra hours for the PCC. Okay, so yes, we help you do that. All right, so I think I kind of covered the requirements, but just to refresh your memory, with the ACC, you need 60 hours of live training plus 10 hours of mentor coaching. But I strongly recommend you do what we are, the level 2 organization, so you don't have to send them recordings. Okay, and it just all we hear is, you know, like I'll call the ICF and I have good relationships with leadership there. It takes 3 days to get a call back. Sometimes they're that busy. Recordings can take months. Okay. And it's also risky because it's a little bit subjective. If you get a life coach reviewing your executive coach recording, yeah, I mean, they look for specific behaviors. I've taken the course, but it's not always clear. You also need the 100 hours of coaching experience hours. And then for the PCC, you need the 125 hours of live training. We can get you both ACC and PCC. And it's now called the level 2 pathway. This used to be called ACTP. So just so you know what happened, if you've been in the market for executive coach training, there used to be things called ACSTH and ACTP. And what the ICF would do is accredit a program like our certified executive coach training program. Now what they're doing is accrediting the whole organization. So we started this process with them back in January or February, and we were among the first batch of organizations that were accredited as a level 2. We had to share with them all of our policies, how we evaluate our program, how we evaluate our faculty. And then on top of that, what they already accredited us for. Okay, so that's all level 2 is. There's level 1, which will only get you the ACC. Level 2 can get you both, and it can get you both the easiest way. So you're not submitting recordings to them. And then there's a level 3 for those who want to be mentor coaches or master certified coaches. Again, that's overkill. There's very few people who need to do that. Okay. If you already have an ACTP certificate, you should not need a new level 2 certificate. You can see the logo here. This is the level 2 logo. So you should be perfectly fine. Okay. So this is us and the ICF. Okay. Again, we're a level 2 accredited organization. From your perspective, not much has changed except the language, right? The ICF has rolled out 2 important things, really a third. But from your point of view, you're only experiencing one of them. I mean, there's a new set of competencies that they rolled out this year, core competencies of coaching, way better, way more elegant. They have a new test. They call it the coach knowledge assessment. It's scenario based. It's still multiple choice. You should still nail it. You should still do fine. It's not very hard because, again, their test is for the lowest common denominator in the coaching field. The people who join our program tend not to have issues with it. Again, we provide you with the easiest path to the ICF, whether you want the ACC or the PCC or ACC to PCC. Paula asked if there's additional membership fees. There are not. And, we're approved with the ICF for something like 390 total training hours. So there's always additional education you can have with us long after, and that can count as continuing education with the ICF as well. Okay, but here's the crutch. Here's what really matters. Okay, there's 50,000 ICF designated coaches. And so we know we have to be different and better. And so where we stand out is we're going to take you way beyond the requirements of the ICF designations and really help you succeed in the market. Okay, so let me explain how we're going to do that. First of all, here's how you get the hours with us. We have live webinars. We have like 12 hours of live webinars every week. They're highly interactive. We have breakout groups. We're practicing coaching. We're talking about coaching situations. There's 4 faculty members, including myself, who teach those. They're via Zoom. You choose when to attend, right? We teach in these mini modules that nobody else does. So if you're busy, and everybody is, like if you only go to one class this week, you're fine. And then you can pick up again next week. You can switch among faculty. We give you a curriculum that tells you exactly what we're covering, so you can pick the things that interest you. Because for us, coaching is situational. Like, how do you coach a client that has a lot of conflict on their team? How do you coach a client that has high stakes influence conversations coming up and they want coaching on that? Okay. Then you need 10 hours of ICF mentor coaching. This takes place over 3 months per the ICF rules. There's about 4 meetings, practice in between. And this is where you're going to prove that you can coach to the ICF PCC level, whether you're going for an ACC or not. They've upgraded and made this a little bit more rigorous, nothing that you'll notice. It's a wonderful process. You will learn what it really means to coach to specific behaviors and be able to prove that you meet the core competencies. We record these, so the ICF audits us. Again, that's huge. That's why you want a level 2 program. That means you don't have to create transcripts of your own recordings, send them to the ICF, wait 3 months and hope for the best. We also have a 3-day seminar that you can add. It's $2,500 more. We have them every couple of months. In fact, we're filling up now for our September 19th to 21st one. You can see our seminar dates on our website under the tab Get Certified. Okay, so we make it pretty easy for you to accumulate the 125 hours. Only half has to be live. The other half you can do at your own pace. We have a massive member area with tons of videos. We got about 1,000 pages you can read. And our seminars are held via Zoom. You don't have to travel anywhere, although we do have our West Coast faculty member hold some live ones, I think twice a year in the San Francisco area. They cost a little bit more. All right, we also give you a very simple tracking tool so that you track your hours. And when you complete everything, it all turns green. You send it to me. I review it a little bit. I give you a certificate that says that you're level 2. You give that to the ICF and that's it. You pay your money. You validate that you've had the coaching experience hours and they schedule you to sit for their exam. It's that easy. Okay. So again, here's the thing. The ICF core competencies are wonderful. You can join any ICF program and you're going to get their core competency training. Hopefully they'll give you a cohort with whom to practice coaching. We actually aggressively match you up to make sure you practice coaching. You'll get the hours you need. You'll get the required mentor coaching. That's not enough. It's just not enough these days. Luann asked whether you need to send the tracking tool to the ICF. No. We validate the tracking tool. You just need to send them our certificate. So we're in the market for people who aspire to be among the best of executive and leadership coaches worldwide. I'd include in there career and business coaching because we teach you that as well. It's included in all our programs for those who want it. Okay, so we want people who understand that in this market or any professional service, you need to deliver unmatched value and real results that are significant for your clients. And we also want you to leave feeling confident, energized, and just loving what you do. That's our market, okay? We're on that far right part of the bell curve. We're not here for dabblers. We're not here for life coaches or health and wellness coaches. We're here for people who understand and want to help already successful people be even more successful in their organizations, in their careers, in their businesses as leaders. So the way we do that is, one, real life coaching cases and data. We're not pushing fluff or jargon or anything or academics onto you. Okay, for instance, when we cover how to do a 360-degree assessment, I'm going to give you real data from one of my clients, scrubbed, that you're going to look at, and we're going to talk about how we're going to present this feedback to the client. We're going to look at real off-the-shelf assessments. We have a whole course on the different assessments and when to use them. You're going to see about executed coaching contracts. We have examples of those. Also, we're going to show you when to write a proposal and when not to. You'll see actual coaching plans. You'll learn how to review the coaching and progress with clients without breaking confidentiality. And we're going to practice real coaching about actual stuff that executives care about. Okay. So, with us, one of the things we're famous for is our coaching solutions. You may have heard these as the Coach Master Toolkit. That's included in everything we do. For those of you who have taken that training, this is much bigger, right? This is about getting certified as an executive coach. But one of the things we're known for is we're not just going to give you a list of like generic questions to ask the client. That drives clients crazy. You're going to know how to solve their most pressing leadership problems and challenges and opportunities in a very efficient manner when you join us, okay? These toolkits, by the way, they're in PowerPoint form, they're in written form. And so you can use them to come up with, or as inspiration for articles, blogs, videos. And they're all grounded in the best practices of psychology, business, leadership, neuroscience, emotional intelligence. But we're not going to make you read all these textbooks that some of these academic programs make you go through. The people who join us have had enough theory. They understand and they are practical and they want to get it done. Okay, so here are some of the examples. You can see more on our website. 3, if you're going to start your own practice, I guarantee you, in addition to having the best content out there, we're going to give you the best business development support in the industry. Okay, we have hours and hours of soup to nuts, how to start a business. We just did one on business basics, how to pick a niche, how to write compelling copy to get people interested, how to get visible in the only ways that matter, how to sell without selling, as we discussed at the beginning, how to price, how to keep clients for the long haul and really be seen as a trusted advisor, not a commodity coach. If you're an internal coach, you still have to market. You only have one client. And in fact, you have to align yourself with the top strategic initiatives of the organization. That's why we're doing a lot of work with internal coaching groups as well. So you have to market whether you're internal or starting a practice or you have a practice. One of the things that's amazing about our program and makes my life so much easier is you're going to meet amazing people. I mean, these are just some of the organizations that have sent people our way or that have these organizations on their resume. Our typical participants are current or retired executives, HR leaders, entrepreneurs, already successful consultants, speakers, and writers who also want to add coaching to what they're doing, psychologists, physicians, attorneys, other highly educated and credentialed professionals. We get quite a few returned military leaders. I see a question about whether we're approved with the GI Bill. You would have to check with them. We haven't had much success with the GI Bill because we're a private training company. We even get some professional and elite athletes. We've had some Olympic athletes. I've trained a couple of coaches in the NBA, as a matter of fact. Okay. Lauren asks, how long does it take to get through this? If you just join our program without the ICF, it takes 2 to 4 months. If you join our seminar and participate over those 3 days, you'll get our certified executive coach right after. But if you want the ICF, that's a 5 to 8 months process. The board certified coach is more like 2 to 4 months. And the ICF process is that long, first because the mentor coaching takes at least 3 months, and because you need to accumulate a decent number of hours either way. So number 5, again, a big reason to take this is to open new doors, right? If you're starting a practice, this will help you do that. We're going to show you how to get multiple openings to clients, but it's just great for your career in general as well. If you're already working as a leader in a company or an organization, Coaching is fantastic to develop leaders, become a better leader yourself. And we also show you, not just how to be a coach, but how to offer a range of solutions to clients, including passive income, right? Like the greatest day of my life professionally was the day I was on the tennis court and I realized that I never have to take a client again. I never have to trade my time for dollars because I was licensing some stuff I had created. I had training programs. I had some coaches doing things with me. It's amazing what you can do if you want, and the world is shifting towards this, that sort of company of one concept. 6, you get lifetime support. Now, technically, I'm not supposed to say this. My attorneys and the terms and conditions will tell you you get about 3 years of access. But the truth is, between you and me, informally, it's a lifetime support program, right? People have told me I'm nuts for not charging a monthly fee like a franchise does. You pay once, you're always a member, you can always ask for support. I mean, I get people from 5, 6 years ago, 10 years ago who say, hey, here's something I'm thinking of doing. Can we talk about it? Just had one of our first members ever. They're now writing a book about coaching teams. They asked me to review it and write a testimonial. Okay. So it's a big part of the program. And we have a great alumni network too. We're going to do another reunion soon. They kind of got stopped before COVID, but it was absolutely amazing to see the cool stuff that our members are doing. Okay. So we don't just cut you loose because we know that doesn't work for training. We want you to get support, especially if this is a big move for you and it's something you've always wanted to do. We're going to be there for you. Okay. All right, let me just talk about what you receive and then we'll move to questions. Okay. So one, as soon as you sign up, what happens is you get an email welcoming you and telling you how to log into the member area. I'll follow up to make sure you got it. You'll get a textbook in the mail. It's 423 pages. You can't get it anywhere else. And then you join our webinars. Let's see if this is updated. This only shows 3 cycles. We have 4 cycles of webinars. So we have 3 other faculty members that teach that. I teach one of them. I teach the one from now 1 to 2:30 Eastern time on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So you should get the updated schedule on our website, and I'll update this document in the meantime. So there's 3 other faculty members besides myself that teach these. We have 1 faculty member that's an expert on assessments. We have a mentor coaching team, and then we have representatives around the world in countries where English is not the first language that also teach on their schedule. The member area is huge. You can see a video that walks you through it through the website. You'll take an actual assessment if you're not familiar with the types of assessments that coaches use. We have our business development intensive program so that you know how to get your practice going. One-on-one support anytime you need it. We match you up with fellow members. All of our programs include the BCC, as well as a certification as a master facilitator, if you want it, career coach and business coach. We have extra content. It's all included. There's a ton that's included. You can even create your own specialty certification by doing some research in your market, and that's going to allow you to be an expert. Most coaches aren't seen as experts. You have that opportunity. It's a great way to meet experts in the field. Why do we do this? Because this is one of the ways I got my own practice started. I used to do all sorts of research and publish that stuff, all my interviews with people, and that built relationships and showed people that I was pretty credible out there. Okay. There's tons of options. Really, there's 4 options, but they're flexible. Start with our distance learning core program. You can add that ICF level 2 for $2,500 more. I shouldn't say the prices because we're going to raise them soon. We haven't raised our prices in like 10 years, and with inflation, we're going to. But right now the core program is $5,000, $4,900 if you pay up front. The ICF program is $7,500. The seminar is $7,500, or you can get all of these for $9,800. Okay, you can pay over 10 months. We can even extend it a little bit more if you're on an entrepreneurial budget and you really commit to making the payments. And so it's known and gets reviewed. If you looked on the internet, we're known as being probably the most flexible program for busy high-end professionals. All right. So let me share with you next steps. You can see our new certificate here that has the level 2 logo. This is what we give you that you will then submit to the ICF so that you don't have to give them any recordings. Okay. So take a look at our website. I'm delighted to have a strategy session with any of you. You know, you could register now if you want, if you think there's a fit. But if you have questions or you really want to make sure this is right for you, just send me an email. You can see my email right there, Andrew Knightlick at Center for Executive Coaching, or info at, and we have a nice testimonial that someone put. Nicole, thank you for putting that in the chat. So she's saying some nice things, which I appreciate. Let me just briefly show you the website, and let me take any questions you have, and we'll take it off record, right? All you do is go to Center for Executive Coaching here. You can click Get Certified here, and you'll see all the different programs we have, right? There's a place to start to get an overview that has a chart about the different options. Our core program, ICF program. Currently, we're filling up for our, for our 3-day seminar in September. So if you really want to get it done, it's all via Zoom. It's Monday to Wednesday, September 19th through the 21st. If you're listening to a recording, check the website and see when they are. Okay. All right. Let me stop here. Let me go back to, well, I'll just stop the share. Let me take this off record for now, and I can take any questions you have. And again, those listening to the recording or anyone, just reach out anytime. I'd love to talk to you more and see if it's a good mutual fit. We're looking for certain things. You're looking for certain things, so we can make sure it makes sense.